Hello, and welcome to the Rawkode Academy. I'm your host, David Flanagan, also known as Rawkode across the internet. Today is an episode of Rawkode Live where we get hands on with some sort of cloud native or cloud native adjacent technology. And today we're taking a look at how to improve your build times for Docker images. To join us and guide us today on our session, I'm very excited to introduce Michael Irwin from the Docker DevRel team. Hey man, how's it going?
Doing well. It's good to be here with you today.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's always good to when you can take like a real problem that pretty much every team has and then give them some insights and solutions on how to make that problem disappear, which I'm hoping will be the outcome of today's session. So
Absolutely.
could you just take a minute or two and introduce you for anyone who's not familiar with you and your work?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, my name is Michael Irwin, and I'm part of the developer relations team here at Docker. I've been with Docker working full time for about 2 years, but even prior to that, I was actually one of the Docker captains for 5 years. I've been in the container space for quite a long time, and it's been fun to watch it grow and go through all of its bumps and evolutions and changes and just this entire ecosystem over the last 7 years at least that I've been a part of it. Um, I also teach a class. I've developed courses I teach at Virginia Tech, so courses on containers and Kubernetes as well too. So I do a lot of teaching those that are brand new to the space as well too, and it's a ton of fun to kind of work with industry experts, but then also those that are just getting into the space as well too. And there's obviously a huge chasm between them at times too, and it's figuring out how do we better connect people. But it's a ton of fun. So, but yeah, I'm excited to be here today and talk about our newest product, Build Cloud.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to talk about build clouds and get hands on with the demo, but maybe we impromptu question that you had no idea was coming, right? But Docker's actually released an awful lot over the last 3, 6, and 9 months. Do you want to just give us a TLDR of anything that's top of mind that you think is interesting and you want to share with people?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as you mentioned, Docker has been doing a lot. I think most people still think of Docker as mostly Docker desktop or even just the Docker engine and just the ability to run containers, build images, et cetera. But over the last, yeah, as you said, over the last year, we've been trying to expand the portfolio and adding more products and more services. So, the first new product that we released and we announced it going generally available back in DockerCon in October was a new product called Docker Scout that really focuses on building a secure software supply chain and analyzing your images, making sure they meet organizational policies, and it's actually pretty solid, pretty awesome to work with as well too. So a lot of people think of like image vulnerabilities, and that's just one element, but also are you building on trusted and approved base images for your organization? Do you have open source license issues that you need to worry about? Maybe your organization has policies of, our images by default shouldn't be running as the root user, and so are your images meeting those policies? So lots of really cool stuff there. And then yeah, Build Cloud is our newest product. But between all those, there's been lots of other new features and capabilities. Docker debug. There's been Docker
Docker
init to
edit,
help.
yeah.
Yep, to help bootstrap new projects. Compose watch. I mean, there's just been a lot of. There's
WebAssembly,
been a
my
lot.
favorite,
Yeah,
my
the
favorite
whole
feature.
WASM stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
and I mean, it may be hard to keep up with it all.
I mean, I'm trying my best to keep up, but Docker has definitely embraced, I don't know, tooling and experience, developer experience, and they really seem to be tackling really a lot of those challenging problems that people experience, whether they're new to container tech or whether they're experienced. Right, there's a lot of frustrations, and it's nice to see Docker tackle them head on. Even the file mountain stuff for people that are running Mac, like me, for dynamic interpreted languages, that has been a pain. And I was really shocked when I used a large PHP application and the performance is night and day from where it was,
Oh yeah.
12 months ago or 2 years ago. So yeah, awesome stuff.
Yep.
But we're not here to talk about all of that other awesome stuff. We're here to talk about Docker builds cloud. And let's start with a bit of context or a problem that I think everybody's probably had at some point in their container life, right? That even XKCD has a meme that's often swapped out from it's compiling and we're running about on our chairs sword fighting. And I see it all the time with my Docker images building because these things can be slow and there's a lot of foot guns. which I'm not saying Docker build cloud is going to fix, but there are a lot of foot guns for people that are new to containers that don't understand how layer caching works and then cache invalidation and all this stuff. But use Docker in it, and it's going to help you avoid some of them things. But Docker Build Cloud can give us some dramatic performance numbers. Your blog post that I was looking at prior to this episode says that it can speed up a build by up to 39%. That is not a trivial number or a performance benefit. So, do you want to give us a bit more details on what Build Cloud is
Yeah.
and why people should pay attention?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just do one small correction. The blog post, so it wasn't 39%, it was even 39 times. And so
Ah,
there's yeah. Of course, numbers can be, a little hand wavy at times, but we have seen pretty significant improvements with the build speeds. And so yeah, a couple things that you mentioned there. So when I'm building a container image, there's a lot that goes into that. And especially if I'm building on my local machine, if it's the first time I've done that build, I'm having to do the build from scratch. And we're looking at those builds, and there's lots of dependencies and compilation, or just depending on what language and what tools you're using. Um, you know, if we look at the layers, my source code may be layers 7 and 8, but I still have to build layers 1 through 6, at least to populate my cache and get things in a good place. And, if then we look across an entire team of developers, if there's 10 developers on a team, well, then that means all of those, initial layers are having to be rebuilt across the entire team. It's like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of this layer caching and whatnot. Like, how can we make it so that one person can build once and then everybody can benefit from that shared cache environment? So that's kind of one aspect of Build Cloud, is this: by having the shared runner, one person can, or even a CI pipeline can populate the cache, and then everybody else can benefit from it. Um, Another thing that we heard quite often was, for larger projects, compilation may just take a long time. Either there's lots to compile, or if I'm on a team that's looking at multi-architecture, for example, and now we're having to do AMD 64 and ARM 64, but maybe I'm on Apple Silicon, so I'm having to emulate one or the other. Um,
maybe it's a Rust project and it's just slow.
yeah, exactly. And so there's just times in which, like, can I just attach beefier machines to my builds?
Yeah.
And so kind of internally we call it remocal, where it's kind of remote, but it kind of feels local. Um, and so in many ways, that's what Build Cloud's trying to do, like give that remocal experience, like just enhance the local experience with remote capabilities and remote horsepower. But then, everything still works as you would expect it to locally.
Okay. So would it be fair to summarize all of those amazing features you've just kind of covered as like just Docker Build Cloud is a remote build kit build service for anyone building container images. And the fact that it's remote means that you can do really cool things with the caching. That's kind of what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, the remote, yep, shared caches, native multi-architecture, and hopefully, as you see there, hopefully it's the 39x speed improvements that you get
So
out of
by
it.
that native multi-architecture,
Yeah,
and maybe this comes out in the demo, right? But I'm curious. When I do
yeah,
Docker builds and I'm using Docker Build Cloud, is it understanding that there's multiple jobs that need to be run and literally scheduling them on different machines so the architecture is native without any emulation whatsoever?
that's exactly what's happening. So yeah, when
Sweet.
I do the build, basically it's handing off to a build kit endpoint that then is basically saying, all right, what builder behind the scenes actually needs to take care of this for me, and yeah, delegates the work to either AMD 64 or ARM 64, and there may be a few um, architectures that support, or machines that support other architectures as they come out. But yep, everything runs natively.
Nice. We got a not a question, but a comment from Russell on the chat. So he's got a project that takes 30 minutes to build and it depresses him greatly. Yeah, I mean, when I used to work in an office, I loved those compilation times or build times because it meant you can go get a coffee, you would chat to people. But now they're all sitting at home, I find I just sit watching them, and maybe that's just me. Or I
Yeah.
think maybe I'll squeeze in an episode of The Office or whatever.
Well, and yeah, that's one of the things. Like, I'll admit, as a developer, at times it's like I enjoy those downtimes, and yeah, I can pull up YouTube for a little bit, or whatever else it might be. Um, and so, like, on one hand, I'm like, okay, great. This means I have to work more. Is this actually what I want to do? But at the end of the day, like, that's where I love actually
Yeah,
spending my time building applications, solving problems, et cetera. So, in many ways, it's like, how can we keep you in that flow more? because yeah, then it takes more time to get back in. You know, all the context
No,
switching is just
you're
hard.
framing this too nicely. I think we need to change the frame. What actually, you're taking away developers' coffee breaks and their Netflix. Why do you hate developers?
Yeah, when you put it that way, gosh.
All right, awesome. If you do have
Mm.
any questions, people that are watching this, please feel free to leave them in the comment section on LinkedIn, on X, or on YouTube. We will do our best to tackle them as we go today. All right. So, I mean, you've already sold me on this. I want this native compilation across different architectures. I want it to be faster, and I want to build cache that works across multiple machines. I very much take advantage of working at home to the point where, yes, I'm in my office now for a stream and I do some work here. But I've got kids. I'm at dance class, and when my daughter's there, I get my laptop out and I start working on that.
Mhm.
Not having my build cache there is really painful when I'm on a 4G or 5G connection and I'm struggling to
Yep.
pull down the bytes that I need or whatever. So I want this to be better for me as well. And I think with that, we should dive into your screen share and start to take a look at how people can take advantage of this caching
Yeah,
awesomeness.
let's do it. Um,
I was trying to think of what the opposite of snake oil there was, and I couldn't think. I was like, what is it? It's like just an awesome product. So.
yep. All right, here, let me screen share and we'll go get this window. All right.
All right, we see the Docker
Sure.
homepage, or the Bell Cloud homepage at least.
That's right. So I just want to start here. You know, it's a good place for anybody else that's kind of just getting started with the build cloud, and so yeah, there's lots of the same things that we talked about are scattered throughout this page as well too. One of the things I will call out, and this is kind of a fun little thing there. There's this savings calculator, which you can kind of say, you know, how large is your team and salary and how much time spent, and you can save this much or whatever. And of course, you know, there's a lot of wiggle room in here and whatnot too, but it's kind of a fun thing to just play with there. Um, and there's some little fun demos here of kind of a local build versus build cloud. And actually, you were just talking about, you know, taking your laptop to dance class and whatnot. Um, let's see, it was actually back in October. I was flying to San Francisco for GitHub Universe, and I was working on a React app or whatnot. And I was like, man, just downloading all the yarn dependencies and everything while on a plane,
Yep.
heaven help me, kind of thing. Like it's going to take forever on that Wi-Fi. But I was like, you know, let me switch to Build Cloud, and did my build and everything. And so all of the build actually happened in the cloud, and then it's just downloading. You know, instead of making thousands of connections to download everything, it's just, you know, those couple image layers, and the build was significantly faster. So it was kind of fun to say I'm doing a build using Build Cloud while literally in the clouds and everything, and it worked out really well. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Um, so with that, I'll jump over. So Build Cloud has its own web UI, and when I jump in here, the first time I come in, it'll walk me through building a builder, and that just takes 3 to 4 minutes just to spin up all the infrastructure and everything. But once that's in place, you're basically given this screen that says, "Hey, here's how to configure everything." All you have to do is do a Docker login, and then you basically set up a what's called a BuildX builder. And if you've never used BuildX, BuildX is a kind of the latest greatest build engine, and provides a lot of really cool capabilities. We can talk about that later, but basically what we're doing is we're just creating another builder here. And you'll notice that the difference here is that we're specifying a driver of cloud. Now, this is one of the new things that we brought to BuildX here. And I just give it a name, and then from there, it sets up all the other magic behind the scenes. It connects to the endpoint. And then from there, I can either, when I specify a build, say I want to use that particular builder, or I can just say, hey, just use that builder by default. And so BuildX use sets it as the default, and goes from there. And then so all my builds, all my other, you know, if even if I just do Docker Compose up, which we'll do here in just a second, I can see all that. Now, one of the other things that we did here, because you know a lot of us are probably very comfortable in this CLI, but not everybody is. Um, I can jump into Docker Desktop as well, and there's this new Builds tab that shows up on the left hand side, and here I can see lots of detailed output. Oh, I've got a filter on just for my failed builds right now. Let me put that back. And so I can see my build history, and I can go up into builder settings and I can see all those different builders, and I can basically just click connect to builder and then use this as my default builder. So I can do everything through the GUI. Under the hood, it's basically just running those same commands, the build X create. But if I'm more GUI oriented, um, that's an option for me here as well too. And so with that in place, then really I can just jump into a project, and I'm going to switch over to VS Code here. And I've got just a really simple React app, nothing too crazy. There's a Docker file that does multi-stage build. It'll build my React app and take the compiled assets, transpiled, whatever you want to call it, the final assets, and put it into Nginx container. But I also have another stage here that I can use for development. And in Compose, that's what I've got here, that it's going to use that particular stage. So even though I've got this other builder here, what's pretty cool about this is and I'll even show that there's no smoke and mirrors here. If I do an image ls, you see I have no images locally on my machine. So there's no pre-built caches or anything already on my machine here. But if I just do Docker Compose up, it's going to say, well, hey, I need to build this particular image here. And you'll see that it's using my DevRel builder here. And within just a couple seconds, downloaded all the layers that were needed. And now I've got my application up and running. Okay. And I didn't have anything already downloaded, and it was, spun up pretty quickly. And now I can start my development right away. And so what's cool about this, again, is I don't have to change any of the commands that I'm using. I don't have to add additional arguments. I just simply run Docker Compose up, and the Compose to use whatever the configured buildx builder is. And since I've set my cloud builder as the default, it'll use that. And what's also cool about this then too is that, again, if I'm in an environment where, hey, maybe I don't have good internet connectivity right now and I don't want to use it and I just want to stay local, then I can just switch my builder back to my local builder and continue on my way. So again, I've got the choice of, do I want to use remote? Do I want to use local? And I can pick and choose between each of them based on what my current needs are. And I don't have to change any of my commands. I just change my configuration. So maybe I'll pause there for a second. Any questions coming up yet? Oh, I think you're muted. Or maybe I just can't hear you. The fun of live streams, yeah. This is when I do a little song and dance, right? Not hearing anything yet. Okay, yeah, go for it. So maybe while he's doing that, I'll just continue chatting through some of the demo and whatnot. And so maybe if you throw the screen share back up, then we'll, there we go. So yeah, I can do a compose up here. A normal build first, and also I'll just call this sample React app with the final dot to do my build here. And again, we'll see that this is going to use that cloud builder. And since I built this earlier, okay, on the remote, again, using this remote environment, all of the build layers are cached here. And so even though I didn't have the image locally, I haven't built it locally, anything of that sort, since it's the shared cache environment, I can leverage that cache, even though, again, I had nothing on my local machine. And what's cool about this then is that if I pass this off to a teammate and they clone this repo and do the build, they're going to get the same cache, and it's going to build immediately as well. Now, if I go in here and I change some of this to, hey, let's make this more exciting, add some more exclamation points, and then do another build. In this case, obviously, that's gonna the cache is gonna be a miss here, and we'll actually see the build. I'll download those the new layers and good to go here. So again, by having this remote environment, any member of my team that's building with this is helping populate a cache that then the rest of us can all leverage, making our builds theoretically faster. Um, I'm still not hearing you. Weird. Now I'm wondering if it's, or maybe if a viewer is watching, maybe confirm if it's just me or not. I guess I can pull up the stream too. This one I do a little song and dance. Okay. Can't hear either. Okay, I at least pulled up the stream from a couple minutes ago and confirmed. Okay, yeah. We finally silenced him. Yeah, getting some fun comments coming into chat. Strange. Yeah, still can't hear you. Huh. I'm just gonna have fun with chat here. So our host is muted here. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, sounds good.